Shut up and sit down.
Oh, hello and welcome. This is an introduction to the video you're about to watch. The week leading up to Easter, I managed to get a test drive in a competitor in class for the Yaris Hybrid, and it was a CORSA E. I've been trying for 3 weeks to get to test drive this car, and every time I rang the dealership up, I was told the car wasn't available. I know one of the techies in the dealership. I actually managed to talk to him one night, and I said to him, why is this car not available? Why can't I test drive it? And all he'd tell me was, it's broken. And it had been broken for 3 weeks. It broke down on a test drive. And apparently they couldn't fix it, so they were waiting for somebody to come and fix it for them from another dealership. Anyway, that's by the by. I got my test drive. But in the video, I'm going to explain my thoughts on the CORSA E, and also the lack of infrastructure in North Wales. I live in a rural area, how we just haven't got the charging points available at the moment to make an electric car a viable vehicle. I'm also going to show you at the beginning of the video, after this intro, how much these CORSA E's depreciate, and they depreciate by a phenomenal amount of money. Let's put this into context. They're £31,000 new. That's what they start at. And I found a 2-year-old CORSA E with less than 10,000 miles on it, 2-owner car, that was going for £19,000, and this was in a dealership. So that car has lost £12,000 in 2 years, over 10,000 miles. That's more than a third. That's 33% of its original value. That's what it's lost in 2 years. That only leaves 5 years on the battery warranty. So that car's just going to carry on depreciating. Let's put that into some context. Back in 2020, I bought a Yaris Dynamic Hybrid. Paid 22.5 for it. 2.5 years I owned the car. Put 50,000 miles on it. I got 19 for that car when I sold it. That's only £3,500 depreciation on a one owner 50,000 mile Yaris Hybrid. So the Yaris depreciates less than the CORSA E over a similar time period. Anyway, watch the video. It's 20 minutes long, and it's my thoughts on the CORSA E and the electric cars where I live in rural North Wales. Enjoy the video. Thank you. Oh, hello and welcome to another North Wales side-by-side video. It's time for another competitor comparison. In this video, the comparison is Vauxhall CORSA E. The all-electric Corsa. It's of a similar size to the Yaris, but the price point, that's my first big disadvantage. It starts at over £31,000 for a Corsa, and people say the Yaris is expensive. £31,000 for a Corsa. basic specs, Vauxhall say, and this is very dependent on where you use the car, how you use the car, time of day, whether you've got lights on, air conditioning on, and all this kind of stuff. They say 220 miles on a full charge. No way. No way. You're not going to get it. It's never going to happen. All the cars I'm doing in this comparison series are cars I've actually managed to test drive. I test drove Corsa E the week just before Easter. I couldn't film the test drive because the salesman insisted on coming with me. That to me, I don't like. If I'm going out on a test drive, I want to be on my own. He even told me where to go. He told me the route. I'm like, well, no, I want to do my test drive on the kind of roads I drive on. Roads like this. This is where I use a car. I'm actually on my way from Llanrwst at the moment, and I'm heading to a little village called Llisfine, which is halfway between Colwyn Bay and Abergele, up on top of a mountain. The only reason why I'm coming this way, one, I like the road, and two, because it's Easter Monday. If I came back from Llanrwst to get to the 855, the 855 is going to be absolutely 2 lanes solid with holiday makers going home, so it's country lanes. Right, my first impressions of the Corsa when I got in the car. It's a typical Stellantis product. By Stellantis I mean Stellantis are the company that own Vauxhall, they own Opel, they own Peugeot, they own Citroën, they own Fiat, they own Dodge in America, they own Jeep, they own the Chrysler Corporation in America. So every single brand that they own has a reputation for building cars that are built literally to a cost. So the quality of the materials never. This is my impression of the Corsa. Quality of materials. Everything felt cheap to touch. Tacky plastics, scratchy plastics. Nothing actually felt solid. Everything felt like it's just good enough to get the car through its warranty period. It didn't feel very well put together. That was my first impression of the car when I sat in it. I didn't think the paint finish on the car was particularly good. I didn't think the panel gaps were particularly good. Some of the panel gaps were, well, they're not what I expect. Things weren't right in that respect. It's as if the car had just been thrown into a bucket, given a shake, tipped out onto the floor, and there's your car. That was the impression I got. A very cheaply built car, but at 31 grand, that's not what I expect. I expect a better quality car for that type of money. It was an easy car to drive, very much like driving one of our hybrids. Foot on the brake, push the power button, car comes alive, put it into drive it away. Totally silent, just the noise of the electric motors, the noise of the tyres, the noise of the air conditioning, the noise of the fan. You hear them in a quiet car anyhow. You can probably hear the tyre noise now in my Yaris. That's the biggest amount of noise you're ever going to hear in this car. Tyre noise. And the Corsa's very much the same. Now, driving dynamics. Steering felt it had a bit of a dead spot in the middle of the steering. It didn't feel like it was talking to me, giving me any information. You sort of just turn the steering wheel and hope for the best. Maybe that's just me coming out of my GR Yaris, where I just point it at a corner and I know what the car's doing. I can feel through the steering wheel what this car's doing. I just point it at a corner and drive round it. I didn't get that same inspiration in the Corsa. It didn't have the same grip levels, the same handling characteristics. Maybe that's just me. It's not what I'm used to. Interior now, seats. Okay, I'm used to my GR Sport, but it's really supportive seats, made from really nice materials. I didn't get the same feeling in the Corsa seats. They felt a little bit flat, a bit lacking in support. There wasn't enough side support on the seat for me. There wasn't enough support on the backrest. Controls just felt very numb. I've already touched on the steering feeling very numb, uncommunicative. The pedal feel on the accelerator, well, it's only a switch really for varying an amount of electric. I didn't feel the pedal weight particularly felt very nice. A little bit too light for my taste. The regen braking on it, now that's got different settings on it. I didn't get a chance to play with them, but again, I had a salesman with me, so I couldn't go playing with settings, which really meant I couldn't really try the car out. And this is a very objective and my views on what I was given as a test car. The brakes felt dead. I wasn't sure what they were doing. I didn't like them. I just didn't like the feel of the brake pedal. They weren't progressive enough for me. Again, materials in the car. It just felt cheap. You pay a lot of money and you get cheap materials. I did ask the salesman, why does it feel like it feels, and he's like, well, it's a Corsa. You're not going to get a high quality car for that sort of money. He says it's a cheap car. I get the feeling all the money's been spent on the electrification, the batteries. Let's go this way for a change. There's plenty of space in the car. There's good headroom. You can get into a reasonably comfortable position. Again, you'd need more time in the car to get everything right, but I wasn't given that opportunity. I'd like to have had more than 45 minutes in the car. I'd like to have had it for a couple of hours, but they weren't going to do that. But Ford gave me, when I test drove the Fiesta, at least they let me go out on my own. I got a better impression on the car. Vauxhall, maybe because I'm not a Vauxhall customer, and they weren't sure if I was serious about buying a Vauxhall. I didn't go in the Yaris when I went to test drive it. I went in my 22-year-old Suzuki Jimny. I thought it wouldn't set a good impression if I turned up in a Yaris hybrid, because I thought they might get a bit suspicious. But I don't think I'd have got treated any better whatever I turned up in. I just think it's just the way that dealership works. Maybe if I was a repeat customer, they'd let me take the car for a bit longer on my own. I don't know. I didn't like the way I was dealt with either. It's really weird. It was as if I walk in, I'm interested in one of these. Have you got one on demo? Any chance of a test drive? Yeah, we went for a test drive. But the moment we got back to the dealership, it was, go and sit down. What you're looking to part exchange? It was straight into his sales pitch. I was like, no, hang on mate, I'm test driving lots of cars here. I want to buy the right car. I want to make sure if I'm spending that type of money on a car, I'm buying the correct car for me. But he was straight into his, I can do you this deal on this car, I can do it at this percentage rate. Have you thought about personal contract plan? Have you thought about lease? Do you want to put it on HP? How much money have you got down to put on the deposit? Crazy pushy. Really pushy salesman. It's not how I like to do business. I'm one of these people who does a lot of research before I buy a car. I know what I want in a car. That I didn't like the dealership experience. I don't know if it's just the one dealer I went to, or all Vauxhall dealerships are like this. I don't know if that's how they train their salesmen, but it's not what I'm used to. When I'm looking to change Toyotas in the Toyota dealership, get out of the way, pheasant. Come on, I don't want to run you over. You'd make a nice supper. I walk in, and it doesn't matter which Toyota dealership I've ever been to. I jump between. I buy my cars from the same dealership always, but if that dealership hasn't got a car that I want to test, but another one has, I'll go there. But I get the same greeting when I go there. I'm made to feel like, I know they want my business, that I do know, but I'm made to feel like they're there to help me make the right decision, not push me into a decision that I don't want to make, or be coerced into buying something I don't want. just sort of, do you want a test drive? I don't have to ask, would you like a test drive in the demo? Oh yeah, please. Yeah, I'll take it for an hour or two. I'm like, are you coming with me? No, just take it. Just go and see, go and try out. And that's what I like. I like to be in the car on my own. I can, whee! Carefully. Go under the fallen branch. That could have caught some. That'll catch somebody out tonight. That will. They'll come flying down here late at night, and that'll catch them out. And that's just my experience of Toyota. Whether that's your experience when you go to different dealerships, but that's my experience with the 3 dealerships that I've test driven cars at, and I like that experience. But yeah, I think the Corsas, it's okay for some people. If you're not doing, or you're not planning to do long journeys, and you're not planning to go travelling around the country, it's an ideal go to work car. Charge it up at home. You've got to have facilities to charge an electric car up at home. They're no good if you're just totally reliant on the charging infrastructure that we've got in this country, especially in North Wales, where I live. We've not got a very, very good charging infrastructure, and the chargers we have got, they're all low powered. And they're all in silly places where you've got to drive 20 miles away to go and charge your car up. Well, that's 20 miles to go and charge your car up, then you've got 20 miles to drive home. So straight away you've lost 20 miles of range just to get the car home if you haven't got charging facilities at home. So now you've got, well, let's call it, it'll do 200 miles. You've now only got 180 miles. But somewhere in the week now you'll have to go back. So you've always got to save 20 or 30 miles of your charge to go and recharge. And to me it doesn't make sense. If you're running an electric car and relying on the infrastructure we've got in North Wales, you can't do it in North Wales. Cities, yeah, you're set up better for electric cars, because a lot of the cities in this country now don't want petrol, diesel, or even hybrids going into the cities. They want electrified cars. That's all they want in the cities. Electric. That's the route our government are pushing us down. Electric. Doesn't suit what I use a car for, I'm afraid. Electric won't suit my lifestyle. Hybrid suits my lifestyle, because I can just go and fill it up with petrol. Give myself my 500 mile range. Do over 60 to the gallon. I can live with that. That's cheap motoring for me. Suits me. I'm not worrying about crap. I need to go to Scotland. How long is it going to take me? How much is it going to cost me? Where do I have to recharge? Because I'm planning to go up to do the NC 500 in August this year, and I'm taking the GR Sport, but I've got no range anxiety in the GR Sport, because I know when the fuel light comes on, I just go and put some petrol in it. If I do it in an electric car with a supposed 220 mile range, I'm going to probably have to stop 3 times just to get to Inverness. Okay, it's an opportunity to stop, have a coffee, go to the toilet. But if I fill the GR up, I might only stop once to grab a coffee, go to the toilet, but I'm going to do it on one tank of fuel and still have fuel when I get there. I'm not going to worry about the range. I know the car's capable of doing it. The same when I do the NC500 route. There's petrol stations all the way around. There are a few charging points, but they're all low powered. I wouldn't want to even attempt that 500-mile loop in an electric car. My range anxiety would be through the roof, which would then spoil my trip. That's not what I want out of the trip when I go. So CORSA E, let's sum it up. It's very expensive. I don't think it's particularly well put together. The materials they've used for a reason, which is to maximise profit, which is what Stellantis do on all their cars. It's a nice looking car. It's a better looking car than the Fiesta. It's got some nice lines. It's a smart looking car. But for me, personally, it's not a car I'd go and buy. But you've got to remember, these are my objective views on this car. But if you're just coming into, it's going to be your first electric car, maybe it'll work for you. If you're just commuting in it and you've got home charging facilities. But I don't think electric cars are the future. They're not for everybody. They don't suit everybody's lifestyle. CORSA E wouldn't suit my lifestyle. I'm not going to buy one. It's that simple. Anyhow, thank you for listening to my views on the CORSA E. Coming from me as a Toyota hybrid owner, I probably expect too much out of my relatively cheap car. My relatively cheap GR Yaris has got some very, very nice touches in it. It uses some very nice materials. I think it's well screwed together. And it does what I want it to do. But the CORSA wouldn't suit me. It's that simple. It's not a car for me. Wasn't there. I personally wouldn't buy one, but it might suit you. I just think it's way too expensive for what it is. And also you've got to factor in depreciation. What's it going to be worth in 10 years' time? It will have lost a lot of its value. Because somewhere down the line, it's going to need a new battery. I know they give you a 7-year warranty on the battery that you get in the CORSA E, but are you actually going to keep it 7 years? Most people aren't. They're not going to worry about it. They're going to have it for 3 or 4 years and pass it on. Which is what most people do with their cars anyhow. You're not going to sell it second hand. You're not going to sell it to a private buyer, because in the back back of their mind all the time they're thinking, what life have I got left in the battery, what range have I got left in the battery. And because it's a battery, that life decreases as the battery gets older. It's what batteries do. And in 10 years time, to put new batteries in is going to cost more than the car is worth. So it's become a throwaway commodity. And that's not what cars should be about. That's not how it should work. Admittedly, every car at the end of its life is a throwaway commodity. But I'd like to see a car last 20 years plus. They can last 20 years plus. I know Toyota hybrids can last 20 years plus if you're willing to look after them. You've only got to look at my very first hybrid, a 2006 Prius. I put 120,000 miles on that Prius between 2006 and 2012. 6 years. Never had any problems with it. I never had any deterioration in the range. My mate who bought the car off me has still got it. So he's had it 10 years. He's got over 500,000 miles on it. It's still on its original battery. He uses it as a taxi. He runs people backwards and forwards to Manchester Airport and Liverpool Airport. And that's all he does in it. Motorway work. And he loves it. And it's still going strong. But he looks after it. He maintains it. He services it. He loves it. But he's already said to me when he replaces it, it'll be for another Prius because it suits his lifestyle. Anyhow, thanks for listening to me witter on once again. Hopefully you enjoyed the scenery, because it's a nice part of the world where I live. If you don't like this format of video with me just talking in the background and enjoying a little bit of a road trip, please tell me in the comments. I'm just trying different formats as I'm doing some of these reviews. But the reviews will always be my view on a vehicle. But I'm just an individual, and I'll just tell you as it is. I don't care if I upset somebody. It doesn't bother me one iota. Anyway, if you've enjoyed the video, please consider clicking like. Please consider subscribing to the channel, because it helps cover the costs of making the videos. Once again, thanks for watching.